sumati munishas Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Saneka Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Saneka Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Karma Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha San Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Nishri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Hum Om Guru Vajradhara Sumati Munisha Sanekar Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Dhagi Jetsun Lama Tuje Che Nyamda Dala Tuje Siksu So Gebe Shesan Dala Tendo So Oyon Sunge Nawa Tsedo So Seji Ningne Solwa Debe Tse Dejen Korlo Visu Lekshune Yila Sambe Dede Malupa Gemel Hungi Drubra Chingelo Tsoni Sodan Dikdun Shabete Dunge Namge Yinsu Lekshune Lapchen Tsoni Yonsu Tsopadan Chiranye Dun Chanra Chingelo Chancho Parge Ninsen Tukun Tu Nyu Peme Siudru Lekshune Chancho Drube Gegen Kunshishi Tungen Dela Drubra Chingelo Dage Lona Chola Chokpadan Chemin Samjur Ngemba Shiu Chedan Tumbe Deden Malupa Beme Lunge Drubra Chingelo Dorna Tingne Tsera Tamche Dan Techi Pardo Neka Tamche Tu Rese Kyamne Lama Kele Me Tukche Chingi Dala Siksuso Gongyab Dreve Nyamda Dachala Chetsun Lame Tuche Rabgongne Kodan sungi nawa dralme tu nyamsu nyongwe kesan toprasho. Kewa kundu yanda lama dan rame chiki pela longche ching. Sadan lamge yende rabzone dorje changi kopa nyurtob. Shoya pakyuke kodan dagi alu. Pakyuke sundan dagi nga. Pakyuke tukdan dagi yi. Ten yerme chiktu chingi olo. Makyuke kodan dagi lu. Makyuke sundan dagi nga. Tukdan dagi yi. Ten yerme chiktu chingi olo. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakya Shakyamuni Svoha. Sashipu ki chushiameto Chamari rabalingashi Nidege Sangye Shinto Mikte Ulwarki Drokununam Dashingla Chöpar Shoyidam Guru Ratna Mindrala Kamniryatayami Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonam Lai Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchire Sangye Druparasho Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyap Dagi Chushe Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchire Sangye Druparasho Sangye Chedan Tsoge Chonam La Chancho Pardo Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Chushe Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchire Sangye Druparasho.
In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. With the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I obtain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Ruwa kuingi dhanama chi tsampa tamche ketu dagi cheten. Buongiorno.
Good morning.
Mi è venuto in mente oggi quello che volevo condividere con voi.
What I'd like to share with you today, there are different ways of getting to what I want to share with you, but a phrase came to my mind. It doesn't have much to do with what I want to say, but maybe it takes us to where we want to go. It says,
Quando tutti intorno a te sono nervosi,
when everyone around you is nervous and you're calm, it's because you haven't understood the problem. It was the Woody Allen joke.
però mi viene in mente il contrario.
But the opposite comes to mind. When everyone around you is nervous and you're calm, maybe you've understood the solution.
Ed è faticoso
It's tiresome
rimanere
to stay
in un contesto dove tutti sono malsani.
healthy in a context where everyone else is sick.
È faticoso
It's
mantenere
difficult to
sano
keep a healthy behavior when most people in most situations act in an unhealthy way.
Noi abbiamo la tendenza,
We have this tendency
tutti fanno così,
that mirrors more what Woody Allen joked about. Everyone does like this and we follow. But I'll take another point as a reference point. If what's good, what's not good, what's right, what's wrong. How can I say? Is if we listen in the 7 points of 9 mind training, or there was one point says respect the testimonials, how others see you and how we see ourselves. And this reminds me of a time where I brought Lama Michel Rinpoche to the doctor. At the time, he had just turned 70 something, and maybe 73. And many people insisted for him to do blood tests, and he went to all sorts of exams. He went to a doctor that Lama Ganchen really liked a lot. They had a strong connection. Also, a doctor who took care of my own grandparents. So anyway, he went to this doctor. He did all the exams that you can imagine, even all the blood tests and radiological tests, and the doctor said you're fine. At a certain point, he asked him when was the last time he had done exams like this, and he said 73 years ago. I mean, I've never done this. This is the first time I've ever had such exams. And he said, in the end, remember that it's not by doing these exams that your health gets better. The best exam is your own feeling and your own discernment about how you are. You have a contact with yourself. You're able to feel how you are. And when you have that clear, then you don't need all of these exams. The exams are important to have certainty. I don't mean at all to say to not do preventive exams. That's not what I'm saying. But what the doctor was saying is that once you have a good ability to observe yourself and see what's happening within, that's the best exam that exists. So keep on doing what you've been doing in these past 73 years because it's working. And this reminds me of how important it is for us to use as a reference point not what others are doing, which in some cases is important, but mostly our own perception of how we are living, how our own sensations. I feel good. I don't feel good. I'm satisfied. I'm not satisfied. I feel in harmony with the world around me, or I or not. How do I? Where am I? And here there's a very interesting aspect to consider when we see that we're not well, or when we see that we're well. I mean, if you're well, just keep on doing what you're doing. You don't need to look further. But when we see that we're not well, there's also a very interesting aspect. We can look around us and see if there are also other people in the same context in which we find ourselves that have similar symptoms. Because if I look around and I see that I'm not alone to have such symptoms, then there are many others who have similar symptoms, then I ask myself, what do we have in common? But that helps me to understand what's wrong. And I was reflecting on the ancient times. I mean, the problems that man has lived are the problems are just the same over time. But today, with modern research, with neuroscience, for example, they are proving, let's say, what was understood and known centuries ago. And how were they able to prove those things so long ago? Not with microscopes, but how they were feeling and seeing that others were also feeling well. And so there are two fundamental aspects that are important. And if we see within Buddhism, an enormous importance is given, not just in Buddhism. And recently, and more, there's the research that proves the importance of this, that come also from the opposite side. There are two aspects that are more and more lacking and more essential, let's say. Let me just say firstly that I'm going to try to be light about this. To practice Dharma well, which means to deepen in a certain way, to develop our qualities beyond a certain level, one needs at the basis a healthy state of being. So when we are in a negative, like unhealthy state, first of all, we need to find a healthy way, emotional, a psychophysical state of health. And from that state, we can grow. So when we see techniques within Buddhism, certain meditation techniques, actually, to work well, many of them start from a psychophysical, emotionally balanced person. It's from that balance, not maybe not perfect, but from that balance, one can then start use these practices. If one is not balanced, those same practices don't have the same effect because one needs to develop other things to reach that balanced starting point. So that said, let's go back. There are these 2 points. And in Buddhism, there's an enormous emphasis is given to these 2 points. And we need them often, even if often they're lacking. One is the feeling of belonging. It's the sharing. It's seeing oneself in others and others seeing themselves in you. This feeling of being together and sharing that comes in empathy, in sharing and seeing ourselves in others, which doesn't mean that we're all perfect and we just hug and kiss. No, but this feeling that we are together. And the other aspect is this diminishing inner dialogue, having an inner state of calm, being present in the present moment. These 2 things came to my mind. I was thinking about this. Thinking about this while I was in the car coming back. There was this conference given by the Italian Buddhist Union. And so there was this one speaker at the conference who spoke about two studies, and one doctor won the Nobel prize in medicine. So without getting into any technical terminology, she discovered something related to the DNA that determines basically seeing how much of that there is. One can understand how long someone will live. The healthier those aspects are related to the DNA are, then the longer that person will live. Otherwise, the cells aren't able to regenerate. And she did this experiment. She was able to find women who had a child with very, very heavy physical problems, health problems, health and mental health and physical health problems, and women who were raising their child alone, abandoned, let's say, totally alone, without any social contact, without husband, without some kind of family member. And so she found many women in this situation that were really having a hard time making ends meet. And she took a blood test, and in that specific point where the cells were not able to regenerate, she could see that these women were very unhealthy for there. And then she connected all these women she actually put these women together. She created a group. They were friendship, this union, and after 6 months, she redid those blood tests, and in that specific point, it had completely changed and become healthy. So it's one of those, and this is one of these specific points that determines how the body is able to regenerate and find health. So what we need for our body to regenerate is this sense of belonging and the importance of being able to connect, to look into the eyes of someone else, to connect among us. This is something really, really important, and it's not for nothing that Buddha Shakyamuni he gave us what we needed most. He said we need someone who guides us with love and wisdom. I take refuge in the Buddha. We need a healthy path to follow. We need a view, a conduct, and a lifestyle that's healthy. I take refuge in the Dharma. But he didn't say that that was enough. He said we need also Sangha. And so it's said that foreign words in Italian have a masculine gender. So there's a little bit but for me, Sangha is feminine. So la Sangha. But he's saying that the spiritual community is fundamental. It's fundamental to our own path. And let's remember that when we talk about the Dharma, we're not making reference. When we say, I take refuge in the Dharma, it's not just the sacred texts and techniques of meditation and the teachings, but it's also a healthy and coherent lifestyle. In our idea, to most of us, we think that if I have someone who's guide me and I have a strong connection with that person, I practice my path well, and that's enough. But it's not enough. And Buddha told us, I mean, we're really stubborn. Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya. It's said in every language, in every context. But often, for us, the Sangha, I don't know if that's clear. But we are not solitary beings. We are animals that need a herd. We need the community. We need to belong. We need to share. We need to see ourselves in others and be seen. We need our pack. And this is something, it's not enough just to talk about it. We need to experience it and include in our lifestyle, in our daily lifestyle, this aspect of belonging and of sharing. It's crazy that you see at the end, we're following a lifestyle that's based on the extreme of individualism, where there's this strange idea that the more I'm able to do what I want, when I want, and how I want it, the better off I'll be. The more I can have what I want, when I want it, how I want it, then the better off I'll be. But because if here we're together and someone asks you, what do you think is better for you? What the group wants, what's for the common good, or what you need, what you want for yourself. What's interesting is that, for example, let's say we watch a movie. Maybe 10 people, 15 people, 40 people, it doesn't matter. Even just 4. Even just 2. We want to watch a movie. I want to watch I'd like to watch a comedy. You like a dramatic film, and someone else wants a horror movie. But what brings us more joy and fullness and wellness is not the movie that we're going to watch, but it's the staying, it's being together and watching the film together. So being able to be together, being able to share and experience where we're together is what often brings us much more well-being than that specific act. It's not what we're eating, but it's being together. It's not what we're talking about, but it's the sharing. So in our everyday life, in our lifestyle, unfortunately, we've developed, but not, it is quite recent actually, this extreme individualism. How old is it, let's say? 30 years, 50 years. I don't know precisely, I don't know, but it's recent. I mean, just look at how houses are made. Houses, 40, 50 years ago, even very wealthy homes, their bedrooms were small. There were very few bathrooms. A very large living room, big kitchens, big dining rooms. And today, instead, the living room is small. The kitchen is practically non-existent. Enormous bedrooms, each one with an ensuite bathroom and own television. This reflects, I mean, this also in the architecture reflects also this strong idea of individualism. And we see, I remember at the beginning when we would receive the monks from India, there wasn't so much the idea of my room, just a place to sleep. Now they come, they were my single room. Single room. It's because this reason, that reason, and the bathroom and my things. One is worse off, not better. But this, what I mean to say is, this idea of individualism has come into our society as if it were a solution to be better off. I can do what I want, when I want, as I want. How great is that? When instead what we need most is not to do this or that, but it's to share, it's being together and belong. And what's interesting is, even if we get into this strong idea of individualism, at the same time, we still feel this need to share and to belong. So we try to share, we have a individualistic sharing. So I want to share with the same people. I want to share with the people who want the exact same things that I want. And once you want something different, I'm not going to share anymore with you. All right? But it's just not sustainable. Also because when the community is made of me and you and me, how can that work? Just a little bit. And with this, I don't mean to take anything away from the beauty and the depth of a relationship with two people. What I'm saying is just not enough. The community and the sharing is something larger. And something so wonderful with this sharing is that it goes outside and against our individualistic mind, is that seeing ourselves in others is this joy of adapting ourselves to others. So I see myself in you. I'm happy when you're happy. This means, okay, I like a comedy, but you want to watch a drama? Let's watch the drama. It's what we're doing is not important anymore, but one tries to get to the other and offer to the other, share. So a life that's based more on seeing the other and less on what I want. And we're in a historic moment, which is not bad, because we're in a phase that we already are understanding that this is not working for us, because the the in the time of extreme individualism, let's say, we've experienced it, and when we look around, can we ask ourselves, is this working? When we look around and we see everybody in their small cubicles and locked in their little houses, like these like these like these very small apartments in Japan, like little cubicles. Are we happy or not? Are we well or not? Number one, mental health. How are we? How are we doing?
Non ci può essere una battuta di più cattivo gusto.
It's horrible. It's a horrible situation. The levels of anxiety. And the worst thing is not just that there's an increase of anxiety and depression, etc., but there's also a a moving away from solutions or understanding the problem. So we uphold all these activities that are not good for us, trying to run away from those same things. I mean, it's completely ignorant. For this thing, something that's absolutely fundamental is being able to see ourselves in others, being with others, without wanting to impose our views. It's clear that that's not easy. We go into abstinence. We're not used to it. And I don't want to get into an area that is not mine, but once a disciple with her child, I saw this very young daughter, maybe she was 3 years old, this girl, and the mother was constantly asking, "What do you want? What do you want?" And I was looking, and my thought was, I mean, this is an act of violence against this child, because if you're constantly asking the child what she wants, when when her personality, her character, her mind is shaping itself, what are you showing this child? That she can always have what she wants, and what's important is not the context and others, but what she wants. And the day that she won't be able to have what she wants, so she says, "Why? I've always been able to have what I want." In Tibetan, we use the expression of surveying the desires of others. And it's said that, trying to satisfy someone's desire and all constantly is one of the worst things you can do, because it creates a tremendous amount of dissatisfaction. And then when I spoke to this person, the doctors, the pediatricians, they told me I need to do this so that she can learn how to make her own decisions right away and be autonomous. And I just was speechless. Maybe I don't understand anything about child rearing, but in my, that's why, but I don't know, in my ignorance, we're creating more and more a society where extreme individualism, where one is raised with the idea that one can do what he wants, when he wants, and how he wants, and that is the basis for happiness. But at the same time, we have this need, we feel this need to belong and to share, but we create unhealthy ways of sharing, because our way of sharing is I share with you as long as you want to do the same things that I want to do, and once it's no longer as soon as it's as long as it's like that, okay, but as soon as it changes, I just make a cut. I click unfriend. So we have this idea of friendship and community that, on social, it's just not even real. Years ago, a friend wrote something. He said, having many friends on Facebook. This at the time, it was like the boom of Facebook. Having many having many having many friends on Facebook is like being rich in Monopoly. So belonging to many communities where there's no real sharing, where you're not adapting yourself to others, because sharing is it's natural when you share. Um, being together, you say, okay, well, I don't like this, but it's part of being together, and I think yellow's better. You think red is better. Okay, today we use red. Another day we'll do yellow. So, and I don't mean that you can't, you know, share on social, but it just can't substitute. Let's try to see in the relationships, one on one, and our relationships in our family with our parents, our siblings, our friends, and within a couple or in the community. Do we have a relationship of sharing where the reference point is the I and the my, or is the reference the group, the others? Because when we're with others, one or more people, there's a way. There's me, and then there's you, and as long as you, in your way of being, you favor the I and the my, then I'm with you, or you're beneficial to the I and the mind. That's one way. Another way is where there's me, and then there's you, but there's also the us. The us is an additional identity that is worth more than the I, and is worth more than you. Of course, in the whole, needs to uphold both me and you. But it's important to understand that there is an us, this us that is worth more than me and worth more than just you. So how do we share? How do we belong? And it's important to understand that the more selfish we are, the more difficult and the more unstable it all is. The more we're able to give value to the us, and we know how to see others, then we see that it's good for us, because one of the things that we need most is not having what I want when I want, and how I want it when I want it, but it's sharing, it's loving, it's seeing others, being seen, loving, being loved. It's crazy that in a time where, with the speed of communication, are at levels that like they've never existed before, at the same time there's a tremendous amount of solitude. But loneliness doesn't come because there's no one to talk to and we are alone. Loneliness comes often from a lack of belonging, the lack of sharing, or not having someone to share one's love, not trust, not trust others, or a feeling also that we're not trusted. This brings loneliness. And it's interesting to see that along the Dharma path, one of the points that's really at the basis, the foundation to be able to grow spiritually along our path, the four immeasurables. What are the qualities that Buddha repeated so many times? Also because they're the very important things over centuries, they've become ceremonial. They've become like rituals. I mean, we need to love and be loved. We need compassion. We need to rejoice. We need and then Lama Ganchen reminded us that we need health, and we need peace, and a healthy environment. But this is the basis for us to be well. So each one of us, in the context in which we find ourselves, here in Albagnano or in a city like Milan or wherever you are, we have to interact with others. And if we allow ourselves to see ourselves in others, this already changes so much. When we see ourselves in others, this allows us to be interested in others, and this opens the door to feel kindness and for others, which opens the door for love and feeling love and compassion for others, which opens the door to be able to rejoice for the happiness of others. But it starts by seeing ourselves in others. In the traditional teachings, we have the 7 causes and results for the development of bodhicitta that starts from seeing ourselves in others and then feeling gratitude and empathy. And for this reason, I mean, so we see little by little we have the same problems, we have the same needs, we want the same things, we're in the same boat. And little by little allow ourselves to see others, to not create distance, but to create closeness. Let's use this term, to see ourselves in others. Also because one of the basis of violence is not seeing ourselves in others and seeing ourselves different, creating distance or feeling superior. You're different than me. Because if I saw myself in you, I would not be able to react or act violently towards you. I hope that's clear. If we see, historically speaking, actually in the past, but also in the present, where there's a generalized violence towards a group, this process to get to that violence is gradually creating distance and a sense of superiority. We are different. I don't see myself in you. Even as human beings, we've developed this with animals, and then maybe when they're animals, when they're pets, then we see similarities. You know, we say, oh, and we think, oh, how cute is he's feeling he's jealous, and then so we see ourselves in the dog. Oh, we're jealous, and the dog is jealous. But But even the cow is jealous, and a hen can feel jealousy. But what happens is we create a feeling of distance and superiority that is the basis that allows us to justify acts of violence. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to act violently towards someone that we relate to. Is that clear? No, I don't want to open up this thing, but why is it harder to accept someone from a certain ethnicity, accept the death of certain ethnic group, and not from us? You know, so if you're from the same ethnic group, you see yourselves in that group, and so it's harder to accept. So it's important for us to make an effort to get out of this position where we are here and others are there. Also because what we need most is this closeness. There are also scientific studies that prove that when we share, when we feel like when we're belonging, we feel better. And in Buddhism, from the beginning, Buddha said, if you really want to be well, develop love, compassion, joy, the happiness for the happiness of others, and equanimity. We need these, but they don't come spontaneously. We need to cultivate them. So this sense of belonging needs to, little by little, amplify itself, not only towards those who are of the same tradition or religion or live in the same place or dress with the same colors or whatever it is. We need little by little to enlarge this sense of belonging. But let's start with the closer circles. So I wanted just to emphasize today this fact that we can do many things to be well. Eat in a certain way, do what we need to sleep well, have economic stability, can try to have as much fun as possible. I mean, we could do many things, and I'm not saying that that's not right. But if we don't allow ourselves and we don't create the conditions to belong, to see ourselves and others, to love and be loved, to trust and be trusted and share life, even on a deeper level, there will be a void. And we try to fill this void with a very, very minute circle of husband, wife, and children. Sometimes it includes maybe the parents, and even siblings might be an exception. Some people are easier to include in this circle, others more difficult. But the more we're able to amplify this circle, the better it is for us. The other subject, which we're not going to talk about now, but I was just going to mention it briefly, otherwise I forget. I heard these studies about how important it is. There was the study about how important it is to share and empathy, and another study talked about being present in the present moment, and a person is able to stop and diminish that inner dialogue where you're looking at the past or projecting yourself into the future. One's heart, one's one's heart, one's mind, and one's intestine are in sync. When instead, when we feel threatened, and the strongest threat is the threat of the future, of judgment. I mean, it's more mental than physical. Then it all goes out of sync, and our body starts functioning on different frequencies. There's no longer harmony, and over time, this creates sickness. And here, from a medical point of view, one of the best things that we can do is to stop that mind that is constantly going. And just touch on one point, and we'll talk about it more in the future. Imagine the following scene: we're in a room, and we need to dry up some water with a sponge. I mean, it's possible. It's possible, but we need to turn off the faucet. If we're in a room that is flooded, and we're there, we just with a sponge, it is possible, but we do need to turn off the faucet. It becomes incredibly stressful if we don't, and it's better use that room as a bathtub. This means that to be able to calm the mind, so the water in this case represents all these thoughts, we need to turn off the faucet. And sometimes we open up when we need it, and this has to do with our lifestyle, because we have so many stimuli that make it so that faucet is constantly running. That's not the main point today. Today, I really wanted to talk about getting out of this obsession that we have with the I and the my that blocks us from sharing, from being part of a collective. Okay, so it's now time for our dedications.
Lame kutse rapten chi namkara trinle chokchur gepadang losan tempe drume sasum ki drove munsela tatu ne gyur chi kewa kuntu yanda lamadang dralme chiki pela longche ching Sada lamge yente rabzone dorje change kopan yurtob sho nimo dele tsindele nime kuyandele ninsen taktu delek pe kuncho sumki chingi lob kuncho sumki ngodrubut sol Concho sumke sho.
At dawn or at dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to obtain all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. Have a very good day.